Okay, we're going to talk about riggins here for a minute because I get asked about it a lot and I hear a lot of misinformation about it and people that don't understand what it is or don't understand how important it is. So we're just going to run through it real fast. And I don't have every representation available, but I have what I do have available. So start off there, the different rigging settings. There's a full double, a 7/8, a 3/4, a 5/8, and a center fire. So this is a full double. So if you go right off the swells and you follow it down, that line of sight will be right in the middle of the D, and that's a full double. And then a 7/8 is exactly 1 inch back. A 3/4 is 1 inch back, a 5/8 is 1 inch back, and a center fire is 1 inch back. I've gone farther than that, but so the center fire ideally should be right in the center of your seat. Should be the center of your D or whatever different kind of rigging this is, whether it's a D or a drop plate or whatever. And before I go any farther, I don't know for sure that Scott Van Leuven's the one that taught me about this, but I'm pretty sure he did, and he taught me about a lot of stuff, so I'm just gonna blame him for this. So this is a full double rigging, a full rigging, and a full double, in my opinion, should always be, whenever possible, should be ridden with a back cinch. You see I've got a latigo on this. Almost always when I ride with a back cinch, I ride my back cinch just as tight as my front cinch, if not tighter, oftentimes. This particular saddle I use to ride colts a lot of times. Bobby Nelson taught me that it's easier for those colts to learn how to lift their back if you don't have a back cinch on, which makes perfect sense, especially if you, makes perfect sense? Makes perfect sense, especially if you ride it as tight as I do. So right now, I don't have a back cinch on this saddle because I've been riding colts in it a lot. Those 15, 20, 30-minute rides where they're learning to lift their back, this isn't gonna hurt them. But if I'm gonna ride them throughout the day, then I'm gonna go ahead and put a, go on, go lay down, dog. Or be in the video, that's fine too. Good dog. If I'm gonna go ahead and ride them throughout the day, then I'll put a back cinch on and I'll use my this back latigo and I'll tighten it just as tight, if not tighter, than my front cinch. The reason for that is since it's pulling down directly on these swells, directly on the bars, it's gonna pull down on their withers, and there's not gonna be a lot of rock. In fact, if anything, it's gonna rock forward and put a lot of pressure right on their bars, right on their withers there. And there's not gonna be an even pull. So with these full doubles, except for short rides on colts, I'm really all about 2 cinches. Don't go lay down, for heaven's sakes. You're old and you stink. He's not gonna do it, doesn't matter. So that's a full double, directly under the swells, and even if it's not a swell fork, directly under where the swells would be, it's right in the middle of the D. We're hung up. Okay, this is a 7/8. Dale Tingle made this saddle for my wife, and then we did some trading, and now it's mine. I've been riding it for years. So if you follow the swells down, you see that it doesn't come directly in the middle of that D. It's an inch off. So 1 inch off of directly under those swells is 7/8. So that first saddle was a D-ring rigging. This is also a D-ring rigging. I really like a D-ring. They work really good. You see on this, I've also got a latigo so I can ride my back cinch real tight. so everything pulls real evenly, and I get an even pull across their back, no added pressure anywhere. So, like I say, once again, directly under the swells, 1 inch off, so there's a 7/8. Those of you that are really good with measuring tapes can see where this is going. Yeah, this is actually the saddle that no, it's not. Maybe it is. This is the saddle that was the trade. Nancy Hogan made this saddle. Nancy Hogan is now Nancy Martini. This is actually the first brand new saddle I ever bought in my life. So you come down right off of that line, and you see we're no longer 1 inch off from the center of that rigging. We're now 2 inches off. So this is a 3/4. You see that she rides it because we got these tiny people stirrup leathers. So this is a drop plate rigging. Drop plate rigging is a really good rigging. I don't like them that much for young horses because they're actually that much lower. It makes it a little harder to get everything centered, and you got to ride like a 22-inch cinch or some ridiculous thing. Pardon me. I rode colts in this saddle forever and ever and ever until we made our trade. But what's great about these drop plates is you see the way they tie in. And so whether you're riding them with 1 cinch or 2 cinches, front or back, it pulls real evenly. And then also, since the rigging is further back, it pulls it real evenly. We've got a lot to go on this. I can't remember the last time there was a back cinch on this saddle. It's been forever and ever ago. Just a rule of thumb for me, like I said, excepting for riding those colts around short little rides, full double and 7/8 should always be ridden with a back cinch as tight or tighter than your front cinch. Everything else is optional, whether you have a back cinch on there or not. That's just my opinion, and but it's also my opinion that your back cinch should always be as tight or tighter than your front cinch if you're going to have it at all. So this one comes back a little farther, it pulls down a little evener, a little more even. And this drop plate rigging specifically, it pulls real evenly where other riggings don't. This works really good for a horse that's traveling long distances, just trotting long distances, or dealing with roping a lot of heavy stock. In the show world, in a lot of pleasure kind of riding and this and that, you either don't need this, or it's actually, like in the show world, this is actually kind of detrimental to you because you have all this between your leg. So now you have all this between your leg and your horse, and it doesn't feel as good. A thinner, smaller rigging like any kind of a D-ring, if you're in the show world, feels a lot better. If you're dealing with a lot of heavy stock, roping a lot of heavy stock, all this leather is going to take a lot of that concussion if you're roping or traveling long miles, and that leather is going to take a lot of the concussion out of the horse. Pile O saddles. So from the 7/8 to the 5/8, Dale Harwood made this saddle. We go right off the front. It's not 1 inch behind, which would be my full double. It's not 2 inches behind, which would be my 7/8. It's not 3 inches behind, which would be my 3/4. Pardon? Full double would be right under. You just said it would be 1 inch. Oh, okay. I'm getting intrigued here. My full double would be directly under my horn. 1 inch behind would be my 7/8. 1 more inch behind would be my 3/4. 1 more inch behind would be my 5/8. That sounds way closer. And so here we've got a 5/8. You see this is also a drop plate rigging. Originally this saddle was made with a skirt rigging, which I'll show you guys the skirt rigging in just a moment. It was replaced. The skirt riggings have a tendency to twist a little bit. They're great, I love them, but they do have a tendency to twist. So we're back to the drop plate rigging. This saddle hadn't had a back cinch on it in I can't remember how long. It's been a long time. The way this rides, it pulls so evenly across here that, in my opinion, on most horses, you really don't need a back cinch. A saddle like this, with a rigging like this, fits mature horses. They really don't fit colts. Colts are round shouldered and they're downhill, and you end up with your rigging always clear up in their armpit. And so the consequence is you're sitting right in their girth line right here, so this much of their saddle is on their neck. Makes it hard for them to move, makes it hard for everything. If they buck, it gets really terrible. So, like I said, I did ride colts in this for a long time. That was when, to me, a colt was a 4 or 5 year old, not an 18-month-old or a 30-month-old. So I pretty well only ride mature horses in this saddle anymore. Oh, while I'm here. So then a center fire, which I don't have here to represent. I do have some center fire saddles, but I don't have them here. A center fire, then, the middle of your ring would be 1 more inch back, which would be right about here. And if you just follow the line of sight, that would be pretty well right in the middle of your seat. Center fire riggings are awesome. If you have a good center fire rigging and a horse that's built for a center fire rigging, I love them. There's nothing that feels any better, but they don't make horses that fit them anymore, and they're really obsolete. It's just not the thing. I mean, they're cool, but they just don't work anymore. This is Severe Brothers. We talked about ring riggings. We had a couple of ring riggings off the bat. We had a couple of drop plate riggings off the bat. This is a skirt rigging. So a skirt, you see this is the bottom skirt of my saddle. The rigging is built into it, and it's built at a 3/4. I love skirt riggings. They're awesome. They feel the best. You feel closer to your horse. Your horse can move around better under you. I think they're the way to go, in my opinion. I like skirt riggings better than anything else. The only thing I will say against them, especially on a saddle like this, everything's tied in with your strings here. Your rigging's your whole skirt's tied in with your strings. And if you're roping lots of heavy stock and you're going fast and you're taking chances, you can twist this rigging, which is what happened on the hardwood and why I had it switched out. In this case, this one's not twisted. I don't plan on twisting it. I'm older and smarter than I was. So we're good to go. But you can have this skirt rigging put in at a full, at a 3/4, or 7/8, a 3/4, a 5/8, blah, 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 whatever you want. You can have them put in wherever. But this is a skirt rigging where my underskirt is actually part of my rigging, or is my rigging. Oh, we're covered up in saddles. That's one of my colt saddles. Everybody's seen it a bunch on some of these videos. This is a cable rigging. And so this is a poured tree. This is made out of JB Weld or some damn thing. I don't really know what it's made out of. But this cable is a solid cable, goes all the way around. You can't break it, you can't twist it. It pulls really even. The idea behind these cable riggings is you can take an Allen wrench and move this little hoosecaw around here and put that rigging wherever you want. It doesn't work. It's a cool idea on paper. They just don't work. The saddle's great for riding colts in. It's light. You're close to them. You feel good. I like it for riding colts. And I would really say anybody that's riding lots and lots of colts, yeah, shoot, get your cable rigging. But these trees break. The cable rigging idea, as cool as it is, doesn't work. But that's what they look like. So can you still not see me on the camera, or can I not do this? Or should I put something up there? Hanging pretty bridle. Should Donk? I put Donk up here. Come here, Donk. 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 We do sign language Donk because he's deaf. The only thing I don't have to show you, like I said, is a center fire one and a seat rigging. I don't have seat rigging because don't get seat rigging. They're terrible. They don't work. That's the worst idea anybody's ever had. That is where the actual the rigging's tied into the seat, which is this real thin piece of leather. And they cinch down real even, and they feel really cool. And they are awfully, like I said, they feel really neat. And your stirrups are real free because there's nothing under it. Kind of like the cable rigging. It's a cool idea. They just don't work. They're real easy to tear out. If you get in any kind of wreck or rope something big or anything like that, you'll tear those riggings out. They're real easy to twist. And when you have a twisted rigging, you end up soring your horse real bad, and then you do get in a wreck. Yeah, seat riggings are bad ideas. So that's kind of the basics of it. You got your full double, your 7/8, your 3/4, your 5/8, and your center fire, which I didn't show you because I don't have one around here. Then different kinds of riggings, whether it's a ring rigging, a plate rigging, a skirt rigging, seat rigging, cable rigging. There's a couple other ones, but those are kind of the basics of it. And there's your idea. Depending on how you ride, depending on where you're riding, depending on the horse you're riding, these are all different things you need to consider what kind of rigging you want if you have a saddle made or if you go buy a saddle. So, safety tip of the day. We were thinking of some safety tips earlier, I think. If you have a baby gorilla that has seizures, don't let him ride a horse.